Tell me something. Why a British accent? Normally, Angolan guys, because of the media studies and so on, we learn American English. It's common here in our country. Why did you decide to choose a British accent?
Such an interesting question, and it must be well answered. There's something that cannot be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
I take that you've already used Oxford dictionaries.
Olá pessoal, sejam mais uma vez bem-vindos ao canal Angopolyglot. Bernardo Silvino, a.k.a. Nado Kanza, o vosso boy. Pessoal, o meu convidado de hoje dispensa a apresentação, vocês sabem muito bem. Ele é o cara, ele é reconhecido pelo seu accent, pelo seu sotaque sofisticado, aquele sotaque britânico, que eu não sei como ele conseguiu. Vamos descobrir tudo isso aqui hoje, ele vai ter que nos contar. Ele é professor de línguas, tradutor, intérprete, terapeuta, criador de conteúdos, também é um narrador, se podemos assim dizer, tem uma voz espetacular. Epa, o Uncle Ben é muita coisa. Então, eu trouxe-o aqui para que vocês saibam essencialmente como é que tudo começou. Uncle Ben, bro.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Welcome to Angopolyglot.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you.
It is a pleasure for me.
Because being here was not on my it's not something I expected.
Okay.
When you texted me on Facebook, I was like,
yeah.
Wow. Finally, I'm going to really be on an English podcast where I can speak my mind, share my expertise with those who might be interested in improving their English.
You're the guy, that's why you're here, man. Aqui é o sítio dos melhores, então não tem como o Uncle Ben não estar aqui, ok? Então, Uncle Ben, vamos começar a partir da essência. Who is Zola Maziko Menga? I mean, where were you born? Where are you from? Let's go to this point first of all.
So so it's time you got personal. Zola Maziko Menga.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Zola Maziko Menga. I was born in Luanda, Kazenga.
Okay.
It's kind of scary place according to a number of people out there, but as someone who was actually born in the place, I wouldn't say that Kazenga happens to be a scary place. Now, it's a lovely place to be, a place where I learned lots of things, a place where made me understand life better. The situation we went through in living in that place really helped us become the man. Especially me, I'm talking about me. It helped me become the kind of man I'm today because of that reality I went through.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you how old I am. It is not something. I don't.
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to.
Because I'm an uncle, Ben. If I do say, oh, but he's an uncle.
But he's not an uncle, actually.
Everybody calls him uncle. But how come he's not even an uncle if we take it literally?
Okay.
I'm not a literal uncle, but I'm uncle because of the responsibility I took. I took on this big responsibility, being younger.
Uncle Ben, tell me something. Is there where you started your process? I mean, your learning process. Was it at Kazenga?
No, it wasn't there at all.
Where? Talk a little bit about it.
Lots of people think that since he was born there, so that might be the place where
yes, because Kazenga is known.
He is known and is very famous because it's a place where you find lots of English speakers.
Yes,
but when I was there, I knew nothing about English because I was still I wouldn't say a teenager. I was not a teenager. I was a kid, and my parents wanted to move because we were still renting. We were renting a house there, and my parents were sick and tired of paying the rent, so they wanted to do something much better, far better than just renting. So what did they do? They decided to move to their piece of land. They bought a piece of land in Pangila.
Pangila.
Yeah, that's where we went. So
Okay.
we went to Pangila, and it was a very excruciating experience. It was really difficult to me because I've always loved my hometown where I was born, my childhood friends. It was really difficult to abandon or to forsake them. Because I was used to them. I was used to hanging out with my friends. So going to that place, I had to sort of restart everything. By the time I got there, I lived. It was a remote area with limited access to
the internet.
Yeah, internet. The connection was really poor, and we depended upon on a generator. If you want to charge your phone,
Yes.
you must have a generator. If you don't have a generator,
Yes,
trust
sir.
me, there's no way you can.
So it was hard for
It
you.
was really hard. And how did I get into
Yes.
learning the language?
How did you get interested with English?
There was an English teacher. He stepped into our classroom. He was promoting his services. He said that he's been an English teacher for about 15 years. That was back in 2015. He motivated us to learn the language, and I was like, wow, what kind of language is this?
Yeah.
But when I was there in Kazenga, I wasn't actually thinking of learning the language, but I knew a few words. I knew how to count in English from 1 to 10.
Okay.
I learned how to count from cartoons. Tom and Jerry. I believe that you've already watched
I know very
this.
well, very well.
So that's where I learned how to count, or that's where I got these numbers from. Not because I went to a school to learn how to count. No, it was a spontaneous process just by listening. So
Okay.
living in Pangila, it felt impossible to learn the language because I didn't have many neighbors. I had
Who
limited
could speak the
neighbors.
language?
No, it's not about just speaking the language.
No
It
neighbors.
was a very secluded area.
Oh my God.
It was like you are in a desert, all alone. You do not have anybody who might help you.
Okay.
And lots of people think, how did I get motivated if I was living in that
Yeah,
area?
yeah.
I didn't have phone back then because I think my mother she had taken my phone from me because I was doing some messed up things as a teenager. So she decided to take my phone away from me. But there was this book, Learn English within 3 months.
Yes, sir.
I read that book from start to finish. When I started reading that book, I was so excited because I believed that book was going to help me speak the language. So I started studying that book, and then my mother saw how enthusiastic I was. She decided to get me a disc, a CD actually, Projoving English. They are Brazilians. So I used to watch all lessons they had, and I was really like, oh, I'm going to learn this language because I've got this CD, and this CD is going to take me places.
Okay.
So, but unfortunately, that disc didn't last long. You know, he broke. I don't remember how he broke, but the disc simply busted. I go utterly disappointed because that was my dying hope.
How did you continue learning?
That's a very good question indeed. How did I continue learning?
Yes, sir.
Because of that book, the book I had.
Okay.
Learn English within 3 months. But the problem is, after sticking to that book, there was a teacher, an English teacher. He saw me read that book, and he looked at me, with a funny look, as though he knew something.
Yeah.
He looked at me and said, "You are wasting your time." And I was like, "Why am I wasting my time?" This book wasn't well elaborated.
Oh my
The
God.
book is riddled with mistakes.
Oh my God.
That's when I realized that it was impossible for me to learn English.
I remember there was a book called the Inglês sem Mestre.
That's the book.
That's the book. I used this book too.
I think almost everybody
Yeah.
used that book. If you ask me about that book, I literally know everything.
Yeah, about the book.
From cover to cover.
Yeah,
I know
cast
that,
and so on.
Yeah. I know that book like the back of my hand.
Hey, I live in the flat. Where do you live? I live in a flat. I live in the country.
I think his name was Maitu, the one who
wrote
the book.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from Malueco or something. If I still can have a complete recollection of them.
Yeah.
So when my teacher said that book was not well elaborated,
yes,
I thought that people around me didn't want me to learn the language because my disc, the CD I had busted.
Yeah.
Now the only
book
hope
that I have,
the only book that I have left, they say that it's not well elaborated.
Yeah. What am I going to do?
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So
and what did you do, Uncle Ben?
I had a friend. That's why it's good for you to have a friend.
Yeah, it's good.
If you have a friend who supports you, please stick to that friend. Do not betray him.
Okay, listen up.
I'm Uncle Ben, but I did not forget that friend of mine who helped me.
Okay.
He didn't speak any English. But how did he help me?
Yes. Tell me.
There is an interesting question that must be well answered. He helped me because he had a tablet.
Okay.
He had an English dictionary, and that dictionary, he didn't use that dictionary because he wanted to learn English. He used that dictionary in order to cheat. He wasn't good at English, so whenever there was a test, he would use that dictionary in order to score high. That was his objective. But when I looked at this dictionary, I found that dictionary to be interesting. So, this is a very good dictionary, so I've got to use it.
Did you steal the dictionary?
No, I did not steal because it was a digital dictionary.
It was a digital. Okay.
So I only used his phone for a few hours per day.
Okay.
He would give it to me because he knew how interested I was in the language. I would take that digital dictionary. For instance, if I want to know, for instance, what's this? This.
Water? This cup? The cup?
Yeah, this one. If I wanted to know this in English, I would go to
the dish.
Of course.
Okay.
To look it up. And I would always find the word. But I did not end there. What did I do? There is something that learners must do on the other side. If you're learning the language, you really have to focus on the sound.
And the sound.
So I focused
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I focused on the sounds. For instance, there was an audio. I would always focus on the audio. So I might get the word. I might get the word. After getting the word, I will not stop there. I would click the audio to see how the word is pronounced. Okay. So if the word is pronounced capable, for instance,
capable.
How do we spell the word capable? Capable. That's how the word capable is spelled.
Yes, sir.
So I will actually write the word down. After writing that word down, I would write the way I heard the word, the way I listened to the word, like capable. The way I got the word capable, so that I would not forget the pronunciation. Because sometimes when you do have a teacher, you can imitate your teacher. Your teacher can tell you, you repeat after me. You can repeat after the teacher for many times. You can repeat after them. But when you get home, how are you going to remember the pronunciation?
Very good.
Because you're not good at English yet. You can't read in English. So there is something I did in order to remember the sound. I would always write the pronunciation the way I understood. So that's how I got to learn the language. And when I discovered that group, right place to speak English.
Okay. So
that's where I really.
It helped you too.
It helped me a lot.
Great.
That's where I got to meet lovely people who were really interested.
Truly committed
quality, indeed. That's it.
Uncle Ben, let's jump.
Yeah.
How did you turn from Zola Maziku Menga to Uncle Ben? Is there a story behind his name? Is there a story? I want to know.
Yeah, actually it's quite a long story, but as a storyteller, I'm not going to be long. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to be brief, sufficiently brief.
Uncle Ben vai me matar, jura. Keep on.
Brief. I don't know if you knew that I went to a teaching school. I was trained to be an English teacher.
Okay. Yes, I heard it was in Bangu.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard about it.
So by the time I got there, I met great teachers.
Okay.
Because I was the only one who did not attend an English school or an English center. So in my classroom,
Yes, sir.
there were lots of teachers, and they were admired. How come this guy has never been to an English center? How come he speaks English the way he does?
Yeah.
So and there was a guy I admired. His name is someone named Afonso. He was really good at English. He studied with British, American, Japanese, and his English was rather advanced. I've always wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
One day I was candid enough. I told him, right off the bat, that I wanted to be like him. He said, "No, you cannot be like me.
Yeah.
You've got to be better.
Yeah.
Be better than me." And I took what he said to me desperately seriously. Now, it's not about a bad comparison. It's a good comparison. Even he's very proud of me because I'm better than he is in terms of promoting the language. He no longer promotes the language like he used to. I promote the language way more than he used to.
Yes, sir.
So I felt like the English language in my school was limited. I wanted to do something more to help my classmates.
Yes,
My
sir.
English was improving. I was getting better and better. But I was worried. I was concerned about my classmates. If I'm improving, why aren't they improving?
Yeah.
So that was the question I asked myself. I was thinking to myself, what am I supposed to do, or what should I do in order to help those who are not improving their English? They are not motivated. So one day I decided to write lots of words on the board, and I asked my classmates to read the word. There were like 10 words. Unfortunately, none of my classmates got those words correct.
They couldn't read.
mispronounced-
Okay.
They mispronounced the word. That's when they decided to study with me. So no, you've got to be our teacher.
Okay.
That's when I got to create the community, Living English community.
Yes, because I saw many of them. They speak quite like you.
But the one you
Not exactly, but yeah.
The ones you're referring to,
Yeah.
they were not part of this community yet.
Okay.
I'm talking about the first members.
The first members.
The first members.
Okay.
The first member. They were my classmates as well as my students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your classmates and your students.
Of course.
Oh my God.
So, the responsibility I had.
The responsibility. Okay, keep on.
Yeah, the responsibility I had. So I know you've been to 3 different countries.
Yeah.
I don't know whether uncles hold this kind of responsibility in the countries you've been to. You've been. In Angola, especially in Africa,
Yeah.
if you're an uncle, you take on a big responsibility.
Yes.
Everybody respects you as an
Yeah.
uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
everybody
it.
respects
That's
you as
it.
an uncle. So as I was helping my classmates, they
Okay.
look at me and say, "Oh my God, you really care about us." So
Your uncle.
you're our uncle.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
like, "Uncle, come
Uncle.
on! Look at me! Look at! I don't even have a noticeable mustache.
Yeah,
Look at me.
yeah.
Even beard, I don't have it.
Yes.
How can I be your uncle?" Say, "No, because you care about us.
Okay.
It's like you are. You take care of us. You help us with our English. So you deserve to be our uncle." So the name was not Ben, was Benediction. So
Benediction, is that your name?
Yeah, Benediction.
Benediction.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
that was Benediction.
Uncle Benediction.
Yeah, no, it was not Uncle Benediction because Uncle Benediction sounded ridiculous, some
Okay.
preposterous, and
I don't want it.
That's boring. So
Okay.
I don't want that kind of name.
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
you have to do is, what if we shorten your name?
Yeah.
So shorten my name. What are you talking about? Like Benediction.
Uh-huh.
Benediction is a pretty good name, but
Yeah.
how about Ben?
Ben.
Uncle Ben. I was like looking at them. I thought they were playing, but after 3 days,
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
was like Uncle Ben,
Uncle
Uncle Ben.
Ben, Uncle
Wherever
Ben.
I went, they knew I was Uncle Ben. I was like, come on. How about Benediction? Because I was so fond of this name Benediction that I did not want that name to fade away. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, that name disappeared.
Yeah.
I'm no longer Benediction. I became Uncle Ben because of my responsibility.
Okay.
I decided to help those people. They were being trained to be English teachers, but their English was not good at all.
And you were there.
I was there for them.
The uncle.
Oh, the uncle. Look what I did.
Tell me something. Why a British accent? Normally, Angolan guys, because of the media studies and so on, we learn American English. It's common here in our country. Why did you decide to choose a British accent? Let's dive into it. Why? And how did you start?
Well, such an interesting question, and it must be well answered. There's something that cannot be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
I take that you've already used Oxford dictionaries. There are many types of Oxford dictionaries, and I believe that you've already used one. If you focus on the Oxford dictionary, if you look at the transcriptions aren't Americans. The phonemes are British phonemes. When I decided to work on my pronunciation, I knew I was going to become an English teacher, so I wanted to speak like an English teacher, because there's a difference between a simple speaker and an English teacher. Sometimes people say, "Why, Uncle Ben? Why are you so professional? You love respecting the rules and everything," but that's not how actual people speak. That would depend on the context, indeed. Mm-hmm. If I'm hanging out with friends, I will sound more casually. But if I'm working, if I'm recording videos, trust me, I've got to sound like a teacher.
Okay.
If you read if you learn English by reading those phonemes, you're more likely to sound British.
Okay.
So the intention wasn't to sound British at all. But when I started studying English, when I started learning the symbols, learning those symbols led me to sounding British. When I realized that, these were the British sounds, I got captivated. I got motivated by the idea of sounding British, because that's what my dictionary offered. My dictionary offered me that kind of pronunciation. And then, see what happened. There was a friend of mine who said, "Uncle Ben, look, I've got a surprise for you. Wonderful news." So, wonderful news? Well, am I going to get a car? No, it was not about getting a car.
What was it? It
was that channel. BBC.
Okay.
That's when everything
So you
changed.
watched that?
When I watched the BBC World News for the first time, I couldn't believe my ears. When I watched that channel for the first time, I could understand almost everything they said. I said, this is going to be my favorite channel from now on. Hereafter, there's going to be my favorite channel. I started watching the BBC World News, and there was a TV host whose name is Stephen Saka. I used to imitate him. I used to imitate Stephen Saka.
Yeah.
And I started sounding like him.
Okay.
Before I started imitating Stephen Saka, I had an English teacher, the one who motivated me, who got me into studying the sound of English. I used to study the sound of English, but I was not committed to that. I was not really, my heart was not set on improving or on going that deep. But that teacher, he used to correct me. Whenever I tried to talk to him, he would like, "Hey, that's not how to pronounce this word." I was like, "Come on." My friends, my classmates, they respect me. How come is he correcting me?
Yeah.
I decided to study really hard in order to impress my teacher. By studying hard, my teacher, he had a neutral. Yeah, his accent was neutral. He had a neutral accent, but it was more of a British accent. By listening to him, especially the one thing I liked about his English, he would always find an opportunity to say, no, teacher, can you do this for me? No. I was like, no. What's no? Because as beginners,
yes, sir.
As beginners or as people who didn't know much about pronunciation, we would say, no.
Yeah.
No. But my teacher showed me a different kind of path. That it's not no, it's no. Yeah. Teacher Diangongo, thank you very much for
Uncle Ben, talking about this, as a narrator, how do you approach modulation and intonation if someone wants to improve their public speaking skills? Because you're saying no. I hear you. No.
So
Can you talk a little bit about it?
I will stick to intonation.
Okay.
I will stick to intonation.
Good.
Why should I stick to intonation? Because you've mentioned public speaking.
Yes, sir.
If you want to be good at speaking publicly, you've got to really take your intonation into account. rather seriously. Do not be like, I just have to speak because that's how I learned the language, and there's nothing more.
Yes, sir.
So let me define intonation. It's not actually a definition, it's more of a concept.
Okay.
Intonation has to do or refers to the process of rising and falling.
Yes, sir.
Like rising and falling. What are we referring to? Or what are we talking about? I mean, am I talking about this pen when this pen falls and rises? No.
For sure, you're talking about voice.
Of course, we're talking about our voices. For instance, let me give you an example. I live in Kazenga. I live in Kazenga.
Okay.
So where did my voice rise? Where did my voice rise?
Kazenga.
Good, you got it.
I got it. So, responsibility.
But
do it.
But this is wrong.
Okay.
You've used the wrong intonation.
Okay.
Because when you use a rising tone at the end of your sentence, that means your sentence isn't finished. Your sentence isn't complete.
Okay.
So if you say I live in Kazenga, that means there's more information to be added, or there's more to be said. So you should have used something else, like I live in Kazenga, but I was born in Canada.
Okay.
I live in Kazenga, but I was born in Canada.
Let's do this exercise. I live in Kazenga,
but I was born
in Canada.
I live in Kazenga, but I was born in Canada.
In Canada. Okay.
So, we use the falling tone. The falling tone.
Yes.
When your sentence is finished, when your sentence ends, when we're referring to the end of your thought. So when communicating or engaging with public, if you do not know how to distinguish those two important elements, your audience will not know whether your thought is finished or not. They're going to